to start, and then who else have we got? We've got Cal on the call as well. Cal, have you got any questions today?
Yep, got a couple.
Lovely. And Scott, we've got you on the call as well, haven't we, from Talk?
Yeah, all good.
Lovely. So it'll be Richard, Scott, then Cal, and then if you've got any questions beyond that, if you can use the chat facility as usual. We're all recording at this end, so
it's nice of Richard to be here.
Well, it's we've got the A team with us today, so happy days. Richard, when you're ready, please, mate.
Yeah, it's good to see you too, Johnny. You doing well?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, not so bad. Cheers. Obviously, you guys have had time to discuss, reflect on yesterday's game. What's come out of that, and what are your reflections now?
Look, naturally, it's disappointing to lose a game, isn't it? And to have got ourselves into a position which was ahead of the rate and ahead of the game. Really, we would have liked to have got over the line. That's the bottom line of it. But like you say, it's the reflections of it and how we go about getting better. And everyone will have gone away last night hurting because it's not a nice feeling losing a cricket game. And reflecting, and then we've got training tomorrow to implement those things that we can get better at.
Owen, talking after the game, say that you can have the best game plan in the world, but if you don't sort of think on your feet during it, key situations, it's not necessarily going to get you over the line. Is that the biggest thing to come out of yesterday's game?
Look, I think our game plan has been very good over the last 4 years and has got us to where we're at with our one-day cricket. And I don't think even yesterday we did a huge amount wrong. There was key, like you just mentioned, there was key periods that we just didn't capitalise on. And whether that be for a number of different reasons, individuals capitalising on those key moments, and we lost the key moments in the game. So, like I mentioned, people have gone away last night and thought about that to then put into practice things that we can get better at. We're obviously playing at the same ground. It'll be you would think a similar kind of wicket, and it'll be about actioning those things that we can get better at.
And I know as a team, you guys have said that, look, you want to be tested on this tour. You want to be put into tough situations, especially with the World Cup in a couple of years in mind over in India. With that in mind, then, is this a good scenario for you guys to find yourselves in right now?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's another building block towards that. We spoke about building blocks for the 2019 World Cup, putting ourselves in different circumstances and situations, and coming out the other end of that, being better players. And like you say, it will test us again. It's not going to be the only challenge over the next period of time that we're going to have and come up against. You guys know that we're missing a few of the guys, and it's an opportunity for people to come in and play in different roles, but also implement the skills that potentially other players that are resting have within the team. Because if for whatever reason they're injured, or whatever reason it would be that there's an injury to someone that's currently playing and someone else needs to come in and play, then you need to have the options.
And what about your own form as well? Because it's been a tough few weeks, but you seem to come back with a bang yesterday. I know you'd have liked to have brought up 3 figures, but it was a good knock nonetheless. Yeah,
I've been pretty happy, mate. Like, to be honest with you, I was happy in the T20s, the runs that I scored in there, batting at number 4 and contributing, being there at the end was in 2 of the games was really pleasing for me. And then obviously, first time since September, I think it was. I think Australia was the last ODI. So being back at the top of the order, naturally, yes, I'd like to have got 3 figures. But I think it also says where we are as a group of players, that we're not being ultra selfish with everything as well. Like you're trying to take the game on, you're trying to take the game forward, and that's the most important part of it. So from a personal level, I'm happy with how I'm playing, happy with how I'm moving. I'm striking the ball as well as I have been, and yeah, hopefully that continues.
And a final one from me, Jonny. It's difficult when there's so much international cricket on. I know Chris has got to balance resting players with keeping the guys informed in the side. But does it help that you have had a few weeks across all forms of cricket in the side now? Because you played well in Sri Lanka and obviously had a rest, and then you come back in different conditions. Like I said, it's a difficult juggling act, isn't it?
It's very difficult. I mean, from January the 2nd until now, there's been 10 days, I think, that I had at home. And then we're across the board, if you take before Christmas, for instance, from September when we left, when we went into the bubble at Manchester, and up until Christmas, and then obviously there was a couple of weeks of Christmas that we had off and on January the 1st. So it's tough being away. There's no qualms about it, and people are going to need rest. It's not as easy as just turning up and playing cricket. You've got a lot of different aspects to be taken into account. Living on a certain floor of a hotel all the time, not being able to leave the hotel to go for a walk or have any of your own space in some ways, to nip to the coffee shop or go for the hour of exercise that you get in England, coupled with being away from people's families and everything. It's tough, and that break that people are getting at certain points through the winter has been important for people's mental health and physical, because we all know the amount of cricket that there is coming up and the schedule that we have got. We're only 7 months away from a World Cup, coupled with, off the back of that, an Ashes, and then a West Indies tour off the back of that next winter. So, and that's without even mentioning anything to do with the English summer. So it's not an easy thing scheduling in when people may get a slight break.
Absolutely. Best of luck with the rest of the tour, Jonny.
Thanks.
Scott Taylor, please.
Hey, Jonny, I was reading you average over 50 at the top of the order in ODI cricket, striking it better than a runner ball. What is it about the 50 over format that suits your game so much?
I think it's something that I'm able to strike the ball. I think that's the playing good cricket shots, good, solid, strong cricket shots is the biggest thing. And almost going at it with a free mind, being able to stand at the other end and just watch the ball and trust your instincts is the bit that I've taken from it over the last few years. Trust yourself and trust your instincts on it.
And as a man that's batted from everywhere from 1 to 7, how important has it been that when you come and play ODI cricket, you know that it's you and Jason at the top of the order? How much does that help with your preparations?
Yeah, it helps a lot. Having some stability in where you're going to be batting is important, because you're able to prepare for that. You're able to come into the one-day series knowing potentially your game plan, knowing where you're going to be and how you can go about it, and the challenges that the opposition may throw at you.
And what is it about Jason's game that suits your game so well to be that clinical partnership that you guys are at the top of the order?
I think that the way in which bowlers try and bowl at us both kind of has the same. The way in which the bowlers come at us, we've got different strengths. I think that really helps. So, for instance, I've spoken about it before. There's been times when people have potentially gone straight to Jason and then gone wide to me, or people have gone fuller to Jason and shorter to me, or shorter to me and fuller to Jason, and the partnership works really well. And that's why, I mean, I got told yesterday that it was the 1200 partnership that Jason and I have had together in, I think it's about 40 knocks or 45 knocks, or something like that. I mean, that's a really pleasing thing at the top of the order for us to be doing, because if we're doing our our jobs there, then hopefully it's enabling people to come in further down the order and to be able to flourish and play their games too.
Just finally for me, Owen was speaking about, given the lack of the ability to have a full strength side in the summer because of the rest and rotation you touched on with Richard, how important is this upcoming IPL for you in terms of learning the different conditions, the different grounds in India ahead of this T20 World Cup?
Yeah, it'll be great. I think it'll be a great opportunity, like you say, to play at the different grounds that we could potentially be playing at during that World Cup. Also to see how different teams will go about bowling in those conditions. Because naturally with the dimensions of grounds, but also the wickets, I think that they'll vary as to how attacks go about defending totals, but also how batsmen go about setting them. So yeah, it'll be an interesting competition for that.
Perfect. Thanks, Jonny.
Cal Sajjad, please.
Hi, Jonny. Great knock yesterday. Do you feel the attacking brand of cricket, which has served you guys so well in the World Cup, is the right approach in this series?
Another go, please, Cal.
Yeah, no problem. I was just saying, do you feel the attacking brand of cricket, which has served the team so well in the World Cup and in recent years, do you think that's the right approach in these Indian conditions, or do you need to adapt a little bit as a team?
I think that's certainly the right approach. Without it, it's the right. But like you said, there's got to be a bit where you are at. We're good enough players and have played enough cricket to be able to act in all situations that we've put to. And the brand in which we're playing is forcing other people to try and change the way that they're playing their cricket too.
Great. And how much did England miss Joe Root at number 3 yesterday? I
think that any side in the world would miss Joe Root. It's not a surprise, bearing in mind the average is 50 in that format. So look, I think that it's a good opportunity for people to come into the side and play a different role. Yesterday happened. We learn from that. But at the same time, if for whatever reason Joe's not around, we need to be good enough to adapt, and we are good enough as a team, as a batting unit, to get over the line. For whatever reason, yesterday we didn't, and like I mentioned earlier, that will have hurt the guys, and we'll be going into practice tomorrow trying to implement those skills in order to get us across the line. Should that be the case in the next ODI.
And then just a final one from me. You're heading to the IPL shortly. You've spent a fair bit of time in India already. Do you feel you're better placed in your game and just with the surroundings ahead of that tournament?
I think that obviously playing over here at Ahmedabad, it was a new ground. I think that there was a lot of learning things from that. The games that we've got are going to be at Chennai, so completely different conditions again. However, like you say, the acclimatization of being over in India, whether that be to the conditions, whether that be to the weather, or just in general, I think will hopefully help. But there's nothing that can be taken for granted. We know the quality of the competition and the quality of the opposition, and that's the exciting part of it, to be a part of the IPL. We know the quality of that competition, and if you can come and do well in that, hopefully then leading into the World Cup next year, later on this year, can only put people in a good frame of mind leading into it, because we have got quite a few players that are going to be playing in that.
Cheers, Jonny.
No worries, thanks.
4 more now, please. Rory Dollard, Will McPherson, Mike Walters, and Chris Stocks. Rory, first of all, please.
Hi, Jonny. Nice to speak to you. Listen, obviously the Ashes in the World T20 are the sort of primary goals, and to some extent, the ECB have sort of admitted that 50-over cricket has shuffled down the pecking order a little bit. I just wondered, as a player who spent so much blood, sweat and tears to get to world number 1 and world champions, how much pride you still take in being the best in the world at this format?
Take a heck of a lot of pride in it. the reason why we play the game. That's the reason why we won the World Cup, because of the pride and the passion that we put into it, and that's not going to change over the next 3 years leading into the next World Cup. Just because there's potential of playing less ODI games because there's a T20 World Cup coming up, I don't think that the pride and the passion goes out a bit. You're representing England in a very prestigious format, and you're representing them to go forward and put your name in the hat to be a part of that 15 that goes to the World Cup in 3 years' time, and that starts from now. Look, I'm not sure. I've not been privy to seeing those comments that have been made about the Ashes or the World Cup, but that's the natural thing. That's the next thing, isn't it? That's the next competition that's coming around the corner. So naturally, there'll be a little eye on those bits, but we come here trying to win every game, and we go into every game trying to win those. Thanks,
Johnny. And I wonder if you could also give us just a word on Liam Livingstone. He's a guy who's desperate for his chance, desperate to make his mark again, I suppose, and the injuries might have opened the door. How does he look, and would you back him to slot in nicely for the team?
I think you back everyone that's within this squad. We're fortunate to have a very strong squad, and a squad that people want to be a part of. So I don't know about the guys and their fitness at the moment, so I can't comment on that. But I'm sure that Livy will, if he does come in, be very, very keen to try and impress and put his best foot forward with that. And when it comes to skills, you obviously know the skill set that Liam Livingstone brings to the table, and that's exciting because it's something that can change a game.
Thanks, Johnny.
No worries.
Will McPherson, please.
Hi, Johnny. Could I just ask the really big question from yesterday, which is, why did your name and number on the back of your shirt have a different colour to everyone else's?
The huge question, Will. It was purely because it got badged up over here rather than in England, and there was a miscommunication. They badged up the same colour of numbering and lettering as the T20 numbers. That was as simple as it was.
Okay, thanks. That's not quite as interesting an answer as I hoped it would be, but cheers.
What did you want it to be?
I was wondering if it's some kind of punishment or something. But no. on a proper cricket question, you're obviously batting 4 in T20 now. You're still at the top of the order in ODI cricket. How do you feel your development in that role came along in the 5-match series we've just had? How do you feel it's going?
I'm happy with it. I was there at the end in 2 of the games. I think that if you're batting at 4, to be there at 2 out of the two of the games, 3. Well, if you take South Africa in, to be at the end in Newlands and the end in 2 of these games here, I'm pretty happy with how that's going. I think that it's great to be developing those skills, because, like you say, it's slightly different. It's a different role, but at the same time, it's a good role to be in because you've got an opportunity to be there at the end winning games.
Cheers.
Thanks.
2 more now, please. Mike Walters and then Chris Stocks. Mike?
Johnny, hello. In the last 14 one-day internationals, you've scored, I think, 300s, 90 odd yesterday, 2 80s, a couple of 40s as well as the go hard or go home approach to England having one-day cricket. Is your approach as an opening batsman go big or go home? Because your recent form would appear to suggest that.
Thank you very much. I want it to be that. I want it to be that approach. Ideally, it had gone a little bit bigger because those 80s would have turned into 100s and those 90s would turn into 100s as well, Mike. But I think that's important, because if you get in starts at the top of the order, if you can be going on to get in your 80s, 90s, 100s, then you're batting until 25, 30 overs, 35 overs, etc. And if you are in at that point, then we should be on target to get a fairly large score. So I think that it's not something that I've consciously gone about and gone, oh, I've got to be doing this, I've got to be doing that. I've relished, since opening the batting in one-day cricket, I've relished being at the top of the order, and I've wanted to go out and score hundreds for England, because you want to take your opportunity and make your mark. And I'd like to hope that I've done that, and hopefully that continues for a period of time, because I'm happy with the way. I'm delighted with the way that it's going so far, and hopefully it keeps that upward trend.
And just to follow up from what you were saying about Jason earlier on, how much of that recent success do you think is down to the chemistry of your opening partnership with Jason? Because you both like to tee off, but it's almost as if one of you uses a driver and one of you uses a 3-iron almost, isn't it?
Who's using which?
I'm not telling you that.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I think that the chemistry is easy. It's an easy chemistry. There's no great shakes to it. Like, we speak about very simple things out in the middle, and keep things very simple. And it's not as if we're speaking about, right, well, I'm definitely taking him. No, you're not taking him. I want to take him, or anything like that. It's a very go with how the game pans out approach. I mean, you look at yesterday, and I think that I was 9 off 18 or something like that, or 6 off 18.
Yeah. And
then all of a sudden I end up getting 90 off 60 or whatever it was. So, and then Jason, obviously, yesterday was a fairly slow start, wasn't it, in the first few overs, and the way that Bhuvaneshwar Kumar bowled at us didn't enable us to get off to that fast start. However, we caught it up, and Jason, I think, got 48 off 38 or something similar to that.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden we were 135 off 14 overs, having had the first 3 overs and been 8.
Yeah.
So I think it's a really interesting way of looking at it, because it wasn't a crash bang wallop start, which sometimes when you have those starts and scores and people look, oh, they're 135 or 14, people might think they've gone from ball one, but in actual fact, we actually hadn't. There was probably 3 overs, 4 overs at the start where it was very much toned back, and we went a different route of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I think understanding each other enough to know that, and not putting pressure on each other to have to go after it, because we've got complete trust in each other's games in order to know that 1 over and you've caught it up. I mean, with that over with the over off the seamer, to go from being 6 off 18 or wherever it was to 24 off 22 is a good example of it, isn't it? And I think that runs throughout the side. But having that the trust in each other's games to just go, right, let's stay calm, stay relaxed, and not pile pressure on each other's the important factor of it.
Top man, thank you.
And finally, Chris Stocks, please.
Hi, Jonny. Just looking ahead to the summer, I just wondered if you were keen to continue that number 3 role in Test cricket, and are you hopeful you'll get a fair crack at nailing that down ahead of the Ashes?
Yeah, I'm very keen to do that. Obviously, people will have spoken about the last 2 tests here, but prior to that, in Sri Lanka, to score the runs and come in at 3, and previously at 3. For England, I've been pretty happy, so hopefully I do get more than four games there, because, like we said, I'd gone home in between, and even with those lower scores in the last couple of tests, average-wise, I was still okay. There wasn't anyone in those last 2 games that exactly lit it up, was there? Let's be honest about it. So a pink ball test match at a new venue that nobody scored any runs at. And then obviously the last game, I thought obviously an umpire's call decision that didn't necessarily go my way in the first innings. But to be honest with you, like I mentioned earlier, I'm happy with where my game's at and how I'm striking the ball. So I do hope that is the case, and I do get an opportunity to be batting at 3 going forward, because I do feel that my game's in a good enough place, and having 4 games in the winter in a subcontinent, which is never going to be easy, full stop. as we've seen throughout this winter, is something that, look, you know how hard it is over here, but going to England, in the back home in the summer to England, and then moving forward with the experiences that I've had over in Australia, I think going to Australia with a wealth of experience gives you, as we know, whether you're entering a major tournament, gives you a better chance of having success over there. So yeah, that is something that I do want to pursue, and hopefully I am given that opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Take care, and speak to you tomorrow. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Cheers.
Great to get back to the NFL.